The House is resumed. We are on the third reading of the Children, Young Persons and Their Families, Youth Courts, Jurisdiction and Orders Amendment Bill. When the House rose last night, Tim McIndoe was speaking and has 2 minutes 50 remaining if he so wishes.
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable Darren Hughes.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. I seek leave for there to be a question time today at 2 p.m, with questions being lodged by parties at the Office of the Clerk by 10:30 a.m. this morning.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? There is no objection. I call Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I'm disappointed to hear that the member for Hamilton West didn't take his remaining 2 minutes, because I was waiting for an apology. Waiting for an apology to say sorry to the people of Hamilton and in fact the people of New Zealand for standing by while in fact the very best facility that we've had to date to deal with high-risk offenders has been closed down by his government in his backyard in Hamilton.
Shame.
And yet during his whole speech last evening, not one mention of te hurihanga. Perhaps the member is embarrassed, and rightly so. So he should be. He should be embarrassed. Because his government is flying in the face of the good people of Hamilton. It is flying in the face of the two bishops, the Anglican Bishop David Moxham and the Catholic Bishop Dennis Brown in Hamilton, who have both come out to criticise the government about this very bad decision. Because this is the model, the te hurihanga model. If the government was truly serious about actually dealing with youth crime, about actually helping to turn angry young men's lives around, then they would be continuing to invest in te hurihanga.
A decent MP.
Because te hurihanga is now a proven model. It had been piloted for 3 years in Hamilton, and the assessment was glowing about the results it had achieved with those very high-risk offenders. And for people who are not aware of that model, it actually was taking in young men who had committed on average 23 offences before they even stepped inside that facility, Mr Speaker. And those were the level of high offenders that we know from research and evidence, and I know that's something that the government ignores at its peril, but research and evidence tells us that it is the small number, the minority of hardened offenders that cause the majority of grief in our community and our society. That's why te hurihanga was so important, because it was dealing with the hardened, high-risk youth offenders, and it was achieving success. And yet here's this government today, in urgency, pushing through a bill to go back to a failed model. It's almost like having the McGillicuddy serious as the government, serious party as the government. Talk about the Great Leap backwards, because that's what this is, the Great Leap backwards. Back to boot camps, back to a situation that we know doesn't work. We have the research and evidence that proves that that does not work. It doesn't work here in New Zealand because we've tried it. It doesn't work overseas because they've tried it. And here's this government going for the Great Leap backwards to something that does not work. And Mr Speaker, I want to know, as a result, and still haven't heard anything from the opposition and won't, as this is the last call on this bill, but they've studiously avoided this question. I want to know from the government what is actually going to replace the te hurihanga plan, the model in Hamilton. Because there we have a custom-built facility, 8-bedded facility, and well, the member seems to know, but he hasn't told the Hamilton community what will be replacing it. Will it be a 12-month program? Mr McIndoe?
He said it will be 6.
Will it be a 12-month program?
Take over the rehabilitation.
Not a word.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know, and neither does the Hamilton community. Will it be a 6-month program, Mr McIndoe?
Not a word.
Well, how about the Minister? Minister, will it be a 6-month program?
Not a word.
They don't know. They don't know. They have closed down this program, which is successful, an 18-month program, comprehensive wraparound program. And there they are, trying to convince the country and the Hamiltonians that they're going to do exactly that same program, but they're going to do it for about a third of the cost. About a third of the cost, Mr Speaker. And the Hamilton community are not dumb. They are not dumb. They know that that program cannot be delivered for $40,000 per offender, because that's what they've been told. It's going to only cost $40,000 per offender, when currently the Ministry of Justice says that the current program, the former program that the government has cut, was costing about $170,000 per offender. Now, that's been a very contentious issue, because the ministers have tried to overinflate that figure and say that it's cost $600,000 per offender. Wow. And their own ministry, the Ministry of Justice, actually says otherwise. Yep. So who's telling the truth here? Who's telling the truth?
Not the government.
Well, I'd go to the website on the Ministry of Justice to see just who's telling the truth. $170,000 per offender. And that, Mr. Speaker, is a fantastic investment in actually stopping crime in our country, and in particular in my city of Hamilton. But the government, in its short-sighted, uncaring way, has come to that community and completely disempowered it. Because, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you there is nothing more disempowering to a community than to be completely embracing this program. Even the people who opposed it being set up in the first place are now fighting that government to keep it in place. Because they now know, even though they opposed it in the beginning, they know that it works. They have seen the results for their community. They've seen the results for those young men, and they have turned around their opinion. But has the government turned around its opinion? No. No way. No way.
Not listening.
That community has supported that program. It's put its heart and soul into that program, and now they have an uncaring, unthinking, unfeeling government who has come along against all the research and evidence and said you are not having that program because we're going to have boot camps. And why are they going to have boot camps? Because it made for a great bumper sticker slogan during the election campaign. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. No research or evidence. In fact, the research and evidence points otherwise. And I find myself once again in this House, as I have on many other occasions over many other pieces of legislation, Mr. Speaker, with this government, asking, where is the research? Where is the evidence? What is the government basing this decision on? And the government's not listening. But it's not only not listening to what I'm trying to impress upon the government, but they're not listening to the community, the Hillcrest community in Hamilton. And it's not just the Hillcrest community. And if Tim McIndoe thinks that this is not going to be an issue in his area, then he should talk to the Methodists, he should talk to the Catholics, he should talk to the Anglicans, and he should actually take heed of what they're saying, because they are interested in social justice. They are interested in finding a true way forward. That member and his government are more interested in bumper sticker slogans, and bumper sticker slogans that will just turn into plasters over wounds. Because, in fact, Mr. Speaker, that's actually what will happen. So we're in the predicament, and this legislation is putting us in this predicament, of in Hamilton having the Te Hurihanga program close in June. Mind you, not if the Hamilton community has its way, because they are fighting. They are in fight-back mode against this government. They are in fight-back mode. And I want to particularly congratulate... Well, Tim McIndoe says he hasn't heard that they're in fight-back mode. Where has he been? Where has he been? Because I want to congratulate Karen Knight, a woman who lives in Fairfield, who has started up a petition. And when she came to see me for some advice and asked me to actually receive the petition and table it in the House for her, and I said absolutely, because I firmly believe that the government has made the wrong decision here, I was interested in what her motivation might be. And so I said to her, Karen, why are you doing this? Are you a staff member at the facility, or have you had a family member go through the facility? What's your vested interest here? And what she said to me was, I have no involvement with that facility. I just think people deserve a second chance. I believe people deserve a second chance. And that's the type of sentiment that this government should be listening to.
You've got no compassion.
Not bumper sticker slogans, but things that actually work. Real people's sentiments and programs where the research and evidence, their own research and evidence, the assessment that they paid for shows works with our most hardened offenders. And I think it's extremely shallow of all of those members opposite who have got up and said that they want to stop youth crime. If they really wanted to stop youth crime, they would not be closing down Te Hurihanga, they would not be passing this bill. I'm very proud to be part of a party in this parliament